Now on to funding sources. We're looking for two things: the total number of funding agencies and the different types of funding within those agencies. First of all, the listed location for funding sources is going to vary by stylistic publishing choices. Places to look in an article are at the bottom of the first page, the top of the second page, and toward the end of the article between the concluding remarks and any tables or references. Each journal will be different and can even change from one issue to the next. So a few examples of where to find it. In this one, in the HTML version, it's right here in the acknowledgement section, right under the listed authors. This one will be toward the end of the article. So go above all of the tables and charts, and we have a notes section. In here, they acknowledge support, yada yada. And the main article that we are funding through these series of videos also has an acknowledgement section in the beginning under the listed authors. So what is funding? We're just looking to code the number of direct monetary sources of contribution from different agencies for a specific research project. The word support and the acknowledgement of the receipt of a grant or a research award are the most common indicators of funding. The word support tends to be used ambiguously. Look for support from an educational institution, a government agency, or a private foundation. Support in the form of research advice, editing and publishing help, data analysis support, sometimes called computing support, or providing data do not count as a funding source. These will reference specific individuals for their help, such as academic colleagues, or reference specific types of support, such as computing support, clinical support, or providing data. And those will be easy to spot and separate from funding sources. If an article is ambiguous and says that the research was supported by such and such agency, it's more than likely that that is monetary, and go ahead and code that. So now let's look at some examples. Our first task is to find the number of funding sources. This is the number of unique sources, so we're not counting multiple grants from the same funding agency or two different foundations or groups associated within a single university or university system or agency. So for this neuropsychological differentiation article, looking in the acknowledgement section, the first listed agency is the National Institute of Mental Health. So we see several different research awards and grants that are identified, but they all come from the National Institute of Mental Health, which is one funding agency, although the research was supported through different periods of the research process through different grants. The second listed source, we have University of Illinois Research Board and the Departments of Psychology and Psychiatry and the Beckman Institute, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So here we have University of Illinois and then pieces of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign University. So these are both part of the University of Illinois university system. So this will count as one single funding agency as the University of Illinois. So when things come up like this and you have specific departments or institutes that are part of a college, you need to pay attention, and then pay attention where else it's listed in the acknowledgement section so that there's no double counting. Lastly, there's an acknowledgement for clinical contributions, so that would be non-monetary, and statistical consultation, which would be another non-monetary source of support for the research, and just general assistance by a named person. So we have two monetary sources of funding. We have the National Institute of Mental Health and the University of Illinois. Those two types of funding are university and federal, and they would fall under code number 5, combination of federal funding and other funding. The second example is gender differences in adult children's support of their parents in Taiwan. Going back to the end of the article, the listed funding agencies are the National Institute on Aging. So we have different grants that are listed. And secondly, the Graduate School of Georgetown University. Third, we have the Chiang Ching-kuo Foundation. Quick Google search of this foundation, since it is not directly attributed to any university system or government agency, we find that it is a private, non-profit organization located in Taiwan. So that is both private and foreign. So we'll see how that plays in later as we code the funding types. But for now, we've coded 3 different sources of funding. One federal with the National Institute on Aging, one university of Georgetown University, and third, a private foundation from Taiwan. So because we have federal funding, it will also fall under combination of federal and other funding, code number 5. In the main article you're coding through these videos, we only have one funding source, the School of Psychology, Family and Community at the Seattle Pacific University. So we have a single funding agency, and that is university.